Welcome, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. We are your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. I'm Eric. That's my pal, Dave. Dave, how the hell are you?
I am hell, sir. How are you?
I'm doing quite fine. The sun
Yeah?
is shining. I got a little. Do you see the natural light right now? It's nice.
Burns.
Yeah,
It burns.
bright light. No, it's pretty good. Can't complain.
You buy
I'm
any
really
books
excited.
lately?
Yes, actually, I haven't. I was on a little bit of not a drought, but I hadn't gone to a store or ordered anything online. I did receive the Spider-Man 2099 Omnibus,
Okay,
Volume 2, which I'm
cool.
happy about. I'm still awaiting the Sex Criminals
Oh,
Deluxe
you ordered it.
Hardcover edition. I
You ordered
ordered
the
it, and it
deluxe.
the complete
Oh,
thing.
the
I think you mentioned
compendium.
the compendium.
Yeah,
That's the one. Yeah, it's been weeks
complete.
since it's been ordered and not been delivered. So that's annoying.
Oh, that's
But
weird.
I did get this week. I think you probably showed this on the Omniverse Comics Guide Instagram page, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh,
I
no,
got
I haven't got it
Marko.
yet.
We haven't gotten it yet.
No, I really want it.
Me
Really
too.
want it.
I'm excited to read it, and I needed to get some things to add to my 2024 reading list. I know that's an older book.
No,
Didn't come out in
it's come out
2024,
this
but
year.
yeah, and I haven't read it for years. So I've
Uh,
I've always wanted like these particular issues collected in cover to cover format because Jeff Johns was associated with it and Dan Jurgens. So yeah, it's here. Might be next on my list. We'll see. But
hmm.
currently I'm reading Black Hammer Library Edition, Volume 1.
Oh, nice.
What a
First
great
time.
book. No,
Right.
second time.
I thought you'd read it before. I thought we talked about it.
Haven't finished it.
Right.
I'm gonna try to read the entire series this month. We'll see how it goes.
Nice.
But yeah, how about yourself?
I got a couple, dude. Including finally Volume 3 of Justice League International, the Omnibus. No one thought this was going to come. So we've waited, what, 7 years for this?
It's arrived.
It's arrived.
It's orgasmed.
It's orgasmed, and so did I when it showed up. So that's brilliant. And then if you want some girthy dick, then you've got this.
That is quite literally a thick book about dick.
It is. This is the definition of girthy dick. Look at that. Imagine that
Nightwing,
going
nice.
in between the other books on your shelves. Yeah, so it's lovely to have it. There's a lot of people going, yeah, but why isn't it an omnibus? It's like, I get it. I totally get that. But I do love a compendium.
Yeah, I think there are some series that have like Nightwing, I think Green Lantern, they had a cult following. Not to say that there weren't a lot of people who thought it was a great book, but the people who were diehard fans reading it from the beginning, it's a compendium crowd, I would say, as opposed to going all out to make omnibuses for a book
Potentially.
that, right? I think it's a good place to start, see how it goes, and see if people want it. But yeah, I'm happy Dick Grayson Nightwing is getting some collection love. Well, as we always say at the beginning of our shows, thank you to everybody who's watching with us live on Twitch. We really appreciate it. This is always a great hangout for us. And if you're new to the show, hit a subscribe button, rate and review, thumbs up. Same thing with YouTube. Everyone that watches on the YouTube, and it's more and more every week. Dave, it's looking good. It's more and more people tuning in. Thank you so much. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, notification for when a new episode is up, as well as if you're listening on any podcast platform that you prefer. But of course, omniversecomics.guide, that's the place to go to for anything new that Dave has put up there for us. Dave is the master. He's the supreme intelligence behind everything Omniverse. So thank you, dude. And
I'm
everyone
a
check out the
potato with
website.
noodles coming out of my head is what you're saying.
That's basically it. I've never seen your legs. So to me,
That's true. I don't have any. I am literally the supreme intelligence. You're right. You've rumbled me, man.
Pretty much. But today, top 10 cover artists. We did a part 1, I guess you can say, on the Cave of Solitude days, but this is our first one on the Omniverse. So, Dave, who should go first?
You went first last week, so I'm going to Bagsy.
Okay.
Can I Bagsy it? Do you have Bagsy in Canada?
I don't know what Bagsy is, but go ahead.
It's when you go when you go it's mine. I'm Bagsying it. It's mine.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have Bagsy?
Do it. Yeah.
Do you call it something else?
Yeah, we just
call it.
Yeah.
All right,
Mine.
probably sounds better.
Yeah.
What's Bagsy? That's just what my face looks like when I haven't slept. On the Cave of Solitude episode, we haven't done this in a long time, and there might be some people who haven't heard it. Why not bring one forward? Why not pay one forward? And I have to mention this guy because I love this guy. He is probably my favorite artist. But when I was doing this, I was kind of, I think he's actually my favorite, because trying to just pick one thing, it's really hard.
Favorite artist of all?
Possibly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
It's
excited to hear who it is.
it's Arthur Adams.
Yeah,
So
you love Arthur
I
Adams.
love Arthur Adams. I'm opening with my big one, and it's Arthur Adams. When I first saw Arthur Adams, it was in an ad, a house ad for the X-Men Asgardian Wars trade paperback, and it had a brand new cover, because they used to do brand new
Mm.
covers for trades back in the day. He did the covers for two of the stories in this, so the New Mutants Special Edition and Uncanny X-Men 9, annual number 9. He did the front cover as well. So there's also the Alpha Flight, X-Men and Alpha Flight 2-issue miniseries with art by Paul Smith. But still, the front cover by Arthur Adams is Alpha Flight, X-Men, New Mutants, all running at you, and Loki looking kind of a little bit like a sex offender on the front. And it was just one of those things, like my eyes just went straight to it. And I had to find that book. I had to find it. And that began my love of Arthur Adams' art. But over the years, like, he's done, so it's weird, because even though I associate him very heavily with Marvel, and I read Long Shot, which was the first series he drew, and loved it, and all his X-Men stuff and numerous covers over the years, I kind of see him as, I really love his DC output as well. He does these very iconic DC covers now. Justice League number 40, which came out about 4 years ago, and it's just the team just coming at you. And he's got that slightly cartoony vibe, which I'm sure isn't the most complimentary way to refer to it. It doesn't sound like that's the professional term, but it just still feels really dynamic, really exciting, and I love it. Even though I'm not a big fan of Alan Moore, I picked up Tom Strong's Terrific Tales, Volume 1, because it had Arthur Adams in it, but he does some of the covers in that as well. So there's a character called Johnny Future, and she's some kind of aquatic adventurer. She's got a very suggestive outfit. To me, it doesn't feel perfect, and I don't really know why. They are very sexualized pieces that he does sometimes. He tends to draw a lot of very hyper detailed covers now with multiple characters on. He tends to be covers only, so he'll do loads and loads of stuff with either a double cover or a wraparound, because he did one that was Avengers Standoff Assault on Pleasant Hill. Never read it. Put those two covers together, they're amazing. I'll have that as my wallpaper, thanks very much. His combined covers for Original Sin, put them all together. That series was shit, but I love those covers all together, and that eye in the middle, it just looks cool. There's a lot going on. But my favourite Arthur Adams, I can't pick one cover. Can I? I'm sort of going to pick one cover. It's going back to 1986 to 88. It's his classic X-Men. He did most of the covers from 1 to 22. They're lovely, and they're flat color, and I love them. Some of them are a bit weird, but number 1 that shows all the X-Men from that point in time, which is like the all different X-Men and the original X-Men all kind of running at you, and Wolverine's at the front, stood there looking Wolverine-y with his airy arms, sweaty palms. But it's just such a great cover, and again, it's been recolored and redone in different ways and reused. But I don't care. It's such a great piece. Anyone can color. My mum could color it, and I'd
You'd
love
want
it. Yeah, I don't
My
even know if
mom.
she's good at coloring.
I would, yeah, of course. I would. If my mom colored a piece, I'd be like, my mom colored this. I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah, but I'm not. I
Why
don't
not?
talk to my.
My number one pick for this week is going to be someone who I think I mentioned as an alternative last time, but now that I think about it, needs to be listed amongst comic book artists, and that's Brian Bolland.
Oh yes, absolutely.
People recognize how great his work is, but sometimes I feel like his name doesn't get mentioned as often as some other artists get thrown out there. A lot of Brian Bolland images for certain characters, for instance, like the Joker, Killing Joke, it's kind of what you think of the Joker, even with the interiors of that book, with the cover, the Joker holding his hair, and then you go into the rest of his work, Judge Dredd, and the covers on the Flash, the covers on Wonder Woman. Like, he's done.
Yes.
It doesn't always match the inside of the book of how the art is in the story, but for some reason the cover captures the story. His cover is very different from how the book feels as you read it.
Yes.
But when you look back at the cover after you've read the story, I don't know how to describe it, but in such a distinguished way captured that story with images and no words. Like, it's like, yes, that I get what the story's about, and I know why he drew that on the cover. He didn't give anything away, but I get it now. I can't think of a character that he can't capture in a comic book cover pretty much perfectly. It's
Mm.
it's quite a feat because there's a lot of times where you can buy a comic book for the cover artist and then you're very disappointed with how the book is inside. He can make the characters look frighteningly sinister. Like there's that image I think of the Joker with a big grin and the cat in the picture has a big grin as well and you're just
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh,
that's kind
yeah.
of
That one's
terrifying."
eerie.
And then there's that iconic Wonder Woman where she's got the one leg up with the shield and the
Yeah.
sword beside her with the sort of Americana Amazonian motif. He captures the regality of her. And then the Flash is a kind of silly, zany character, but he's just found the perfect way to work on every character with his style, and it never feels out of place.
No.
It's unmistakably him whenever you see it. Unmistakably Brian Bolland.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite cover?
I'd probably go with The Killing Joke just because it captured my imagination as a child when I saw it. And I always wanted to read that book. Like what's that about? And then of course the story itself is quite iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Good call. Really good
Thank you.
choice.
Thank you.
All right. Number 2 is sort of a blast from the past, but not the distant past, right? So I haven't seen him do a lot of cover art in a long time or anything in comics in a long time. Marko Djordjevic, he was known for doing a lot of painted covers in the kind of 2007 to 2010 era, but he had some bad experiences apparently. So he'd agree what the cover was going to be, and he'd run his thumbnails past the editors, and they go, "Yep, yep, that one absolutely." And they go, "Can you just move that character like over there?" Yeah, it's that easy. Like it was just no. I think he got fed up with it in the end. He designs games and stuff, I think now, so you won't really even see his art in comics anymore. But there was a point in time where you saw him everywhere. I first saw him on Ghost Rider, one of my favorite ones of his. So he's done like Daredevil 500. He did this amazing Thor God of War, or Thor Man of War, I should say. It was a series of one shots written by Matt Fraction. But there's this Man of War cover. He's jumping at Odin with his hammer up, and even though Odin is like the big guy, like who beats Odin? It's just all you got to do is wait for Odin to wake the fuck up, and it's all over, isn't it? Oh, we got to leave him have the Odin, so he's having his nap. Give him 5 minutes, 5 more minutes, and then wake him up because there's a massive threat to Asgard. Come on, mate. And then, so who calls it the Odin? I'm going to call it the Dave sleep when I have an afternoon nap, just to be more like Odin. Anyway,
I should call it that.
You can't call it the Dave sleep. That would be
weird.
weird.
The Eric sleep. Oh, I can fall asleep just about anywhere, buddy. They should call it the Eric sleep. If anyone deserves to have sleep named after them, I'm a contestant.
That's a point. I'm an insomniac. It really doesn't work. He did that cover. It looks like Odin's in trouble, and Odin's in trouble against his own son. It's not something you necessarily see that often or convincingly, but it's a brilliant cover. He's like quite high up, bringing the hammer down on Odin. Odin's got a shield up. It looks like that hit is going to do some serious damage, and it's a brilliant cover. It's a brilliant piece. So he did a series of connecting covers as well, and it was a series of Spider-Man covers, Iron Man, Ultimate Universe characters, Wolverines of different eras, and the X-Men. So all these different titles and first issues and relaunches and stuff from 2010. Join them all together, you got this amazing panoramic image, all these characters. But my favorite is, and yes, I've written this down because am I hell going to remember, it's Avengers #1, Avengers Academy #1, Avengers Prime #1, Hawkeye Mockingbird #1, New Avengers #1. Combine them together and you've got this incredible Avengers piece. Like, really long piece. And it's so cool. There's just so much to look at and so much going on. And it's got this kind of montage effect. But the Avengers one really, really sticks out for me. It's not just one cover, but it is that series of covers together. And look it up and use it as your wallpaper because it looks fantastic. In fact, you could probably chop it into 3 and use it as 3 wallpapers because it's really long.
All right. My number 2, Neil Adams is the guy I'm going to say because he was one of those artists who the book would be sold if he was on the cover. And you would hear a lot of people who were comic book fans back then, who are writers now or creators, would always say, Neil Adams would share the story often too. It's like people would always be disappointed because I wasn't the artist inside because they wanted, the cover was so. And listen, those covers from the Green Lantern, Green Arrow era, storytelling on the cover as well as just in a movie poster, but captured in storytelling element. Then, Batman 251 is probably one of my favorite covers. It was a Grail kind of single issue. Yeah, with Joker's in the city, he's got Batman on the card. But then there's also the Kryptonite Nevermore
Yeah.
cover with Superman that he actually doesn't like because he says the leg is in an awkward position. If he could go back and change it, he would. But again, taking these classic characters and finding a way to put your stamp on it where when people think of that character, one of your pieces will always be remembered.
Yeah.
And I mean, an artist who was seasoned in marketing, right? So of course,
Yeah.
being a comic book cover artist, he is the man for the job. So Neil Adams deserves his props because I don't know if, I mean, of course there are other people before him for sure, but he's one of those names that you is synonymous, I think, with comic book cover art because he wasn't always the artist of the book.
He wasn't always the artist. There was some issues of, I was looking at this again because we were talking about the other week, but World's Finest, just looking at those World's Finest covers. And I'm going like, oh my God, he drew World's Finest. I'm looking like, no, he didn't do it. So they've been doing that for decades. It's not a new thing. A lot of people think it's a new thing, don't they? So is the detective, what was it, Detective or Batman that with the Joker?
Batman.
Is that your favorite?
Yeah, I have that hanging in. My wife hung that up in the house. Yeah, she hung that up in the house for us. Yeah, it's a great cover. So that's definitely got to be my favorite.
Can I tell you my favorite Neil Adams cover?
Please.
If you want to look it up now, or you can if you want. It's Action Comics 466. I love that cover. I've never read the issue, but I want it. It's Lex Luthor beating up children.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's brilliant though, right?
It is.
I turned really Batman and Flash into kids and killed them. You're next, Superman. Do you reckon you can get away with that now? I turned them into kids and then murdered the children. What? It's brilliant.
But I mean, that's the point. It's jarring, right? It's something that makes you go, "What?"
Yeah.
How could they? Right. That's the point.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
It's maybe not been one of his best, but you know, like the legs might be a bit squiffy here and there, but I love it. I love that cover so much because it's so twisted.
All right, Dave. Number 3.
Number 3. My number 3 tonight is Chula Lote. So you can find her work at the minute on Somna, which is from Distillery. She's working with Becky Cloonan doing a series which is about witch hunts in the 1600s, but it's also very, very sexual. I sound like I've picked all the people that do porny things tonight. Hey, do you know what? I love it. That's my area, clearly. So, but she does very. I think the thing is, there's something weird about this. I guess it's probably seems like a double standard, but if you have a female cover artist do quite sexualized versions of female characters, it somehow seems okay. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's okay. It's done.
Can I?
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm happy you brought her up because I got to do a panel on comic book covers with her. Yeah, yes. I actually got to chat with her about it. She's really cool.
She is,
and yeah,
cool.
Her stuff is brilliant.
That she's done some 2000 AD stuff. The cover of Prog 2137 of 2000 AD, which is a Judge Anderson cover. There's something about how she takes these characters and she can soften them with her style, but they're still very strong, bold characters. She's done covers for Red Sonja where she's done, I think it's like probably the softest Red Sonja you'll see, but to me it still feels like Red Sonja. There'll probably be people that go like, no, it's not right. Everyone's got their taste. So yeah. Basket Full of Heads she's done as well. She did all the covers for Rebels, which I think is the first time I saw her stuff, which was a Brian Wood series for Dark Horse. I didn't think I was going to pick for my favorite cover of hers something from one of the more mainstream things she's done. She's done so much stuff. She does film posters and all sorts of stuff, and everything is brilliant. But she did a cover for Sensational Wonder Woman #7, and that was 2021. It was 2021. It was a variant cover, and again, she's captured Wonder Woman looking very bold. Like I've never really had, you get people that have a bit of a thing. Like Homer Simpson has a thing about Wonder Woman. Like it's the golden lariat, the whole thing. Right. It's never bothered me. It's never been a thing for me. I don't know why. Even when it was, what was her name in the 70s and 80s who played her?
Linda Carter.
Yeah, even as a kid. Whatever. It's fine. But there's something about this where she still comes across as a really strong character and a strong personality in the piece. It's one image, and she's captured all that. And there's something that's got a kind of a sexiness to her, but it's not like massively overt. It's really well balanced piece, and all of her stuff is like this. I think like her Rebels covers are they're a little harder in some of the lines. It's a lot of the stuff looks like watercolor, but everything she does is perfection. It's literally perfection. You go on her website and you look at those covers, and they're just beautiful pieces of art. And if I literally only had her artwork on my walls, I'd have amazing looking walls, dude. So
Wallpaper. Thank you very much. I'll
there
have
we
that.
go. Thank you kindly. So yeah, Chula
Nice.
Lote, my number 3.
Nice. I'm happy you picked her. That's really cool. It's always interesting to try to, there's a lot of parts of comic book art that sometimes you forget that in itself is all a part of the hobby. Where when you read a book, they always say don't judge it by its cover, but with comics, that is part of our fun is buying books because of the because of the art.
It's the job.
Right?
That's the job of the cover.
All right. Number 3 for me.
Number 3 for you.
Let's get a little more obvious. I'd love to see what people think I'm going to pick. I talk about this guy frequently, but as far as covers go, there's very few people who come close to George Perez.
I had a feeling you were going to pick George Perez tonight. I don't know why.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay. You think of George Perez, what covers?
All of them.
Damn, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinity Gauntlet,
mm-hmm.
the Teen Titans, Wonder Woman. The list goes on and on of stuff that he's put his pencil to and just knocked it out the park. Avengers, yeah, Omega Bread, Avengers JLA issue 3.
My brain first went to Avengers number 1, the 1998 Avengers number 1, just because again it's a really iconic image. All those characters, which he loved to do, you know, lay out all those characters, all doing their thing and exhibiting their powers, and all coming at you. It's like, what the planning that goes into that? It felt like it was so natural.
Like the way that he draws, it's just like everyone will fit.
Yeah,
I never in my head. It's like I wonder if you really had to figure out a way where everyone would go, or how much you had to erase and put someone. I feel like no, I'll just put someone there. Oh, there's a spot. Maybe I could put this character. Like he just finds a way in my head when I look at the art. Just beautiful.
It does feel that way.
I love George. Yeah, and Infinity Gauntlet. That number 1. You want to know what that story's about? What the heck is that?
Yeah. Although I love the number 3, but again, it's all those characters running at you. But even the really simple issue 4 with Thanos, just
exactly.
Really simple in comparison. And that's really smart design, to be able to switch from being hyper detailed and busy, and it still work, and that layout and your eye tracks, to having one character. It's a complete juxtaposition between those two covers, and it's a genius move, because they kind of fake. You could put one either side of your head, and you're in the middle of the battle. Oh, they're coming! They're getting you, mate. You know, it's like it's all happening, and you're in the middle of it. It's brilliant. That was bollocks. What am I talking about?
Who did it better, Cyclops and Jean, or Superman and Supergirl? Because it's pretty much the same cover, just different characters in the same pose. So one was John Byrne, one was George Perez. So clearly they were watching what the other guy was doing, right?
Wow. What's your answer?
I probably would say Superman and Supergirl.
Yeah, I'm going Byrne.
I don't know. There's no right answer. That's completely subjective.
It is, yeah. And it might be different on a different day.
Yeah, I think it's maybe something that I've seen more people cosplay the Superman Wonder Woman with George Perez. Like he always takes a picture of Supergirl in that pose, so it's kind of like it's almost like people associate him with it more. So is that kind of how we decide who tips the scales? But I think they're both.
Whatever you like.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite cover of his, do you think? Or do you have something else in mind?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but one that definitely comes to mind is that Infinity Gauntlet. It brings you in. And it just looks like the perfect movie poster in a lot of ways. Every time you look at it, you're like, that looks like it's good. Whether you like it or not, it looks like it's good. I'm going to think of other things that he's drawn cover-wise that's going to make me say, I wish I would have picked that. I mean, the Teen Titans #1, the new Teen Titans #1 is pretty iconic as well.
I like some of those later ones, though. When he experiments with his art style on those covers, I think there's one issue, and I don't remember the issue number, and it was like, who is Donna Troy? It says on the cover, right. And that, it felt like a different style. It felt like he was still playing with what he could do during that Teen Titans run. And I kind of feel like he probably did that the most then, and it might well be just economy of time, but he definitely played with ideas more. He probably did it a fair bit on Wonder Woman as well. There's a brilliant art. I know mine. I don't know the issue number, but it's Wonder Woman fighting a snake.
Yes. Yes,
I
it's
love
like a
it.
Medusa. Yeah.
But I love that. And there's a part of it though where I remember looking at it going, is that Perez though? I'm pretty sure it is. I need to
Uh,
finish that run. I need to go back and reread it.
yeah, I want to at least read the first 25 where he was the artist and the writer, where you're getting the whole George Perez vibe to it.
Excellent shout. And it makes perfect sense for you because I know you're a big fan.
Yeah.
Numero cuatro.
Do it.
Okay, my numero cuatro, and bear with me a moment. I'm going to say his name up front. Just getting ready. It's... Oh, I've done it wrong. It's it's Julian Tedesco. Me. It's Julian Totino Tedesco. Is my number
Please
4.
keep that in. Don't edit that. That was so good.
I try so hard. Like some people get irate on other people's behalf. They didn't even pronounce a name properly the first time they tried to say it.
We're trying. We're
You
trying.
try to pronounce my name. Go for it, motherfucker. So, can I keep that in? So,
Yes.
Tedesco did a bunch of variant covers for Action Comics more recently, which was, I think it's issues 1029 to 1043. It's a fair run of variant covers, and they're all Superman from different ages. But my favourite one, even of that run of variants, is 1043, which I think is the one where he's floating above the Earth, and his cape's flowing, and he's above it all. He's not looking at the Earth, but it feels like he's protecting it. And it's just one of the most reassuring Superman images I think you'll ever see. It's an amazing piece. The lighting is fantastic. He's got just this knack for capturing like an emotion in a piece in the most subtle way. All those covers are perfect. Every single one. So even when he does like the original 1930s, 1940s era, or World War II era Superman, and it looks very old school, it captures that look that Superman had, but he still looks... I mean, sometimes that look can be a little silly because of the design of the S on the costume and whatnot. It feels a little old school, but he just makes it look really cool, and it feels like it's happening. And it just, his stuff is incredible. He's done a load of stuff for Marvel, which people might know him best for, which is he's done a load of covers recently for Zdarsky's Daredevil run. He did Red Thunderbolts a few years back. He did Web Warriors, and even though I didn't read that series either, those covers, they are amazing. So he did all 5 covers for The Life of Captain Marvel, which was a series starring Carol Danvers. I don't like Carol Danvers as a character.
Me neither.
They've kind of ruined her since she became Captain Marvel in the comics. Issue 1 and 2 especially really stand out as amazing pieces, and it didn't quite make me pick it up because I don't want Captain Marvel. But they are fantastic. They are fantastic pieces. And that, like her flying down into what looks like a fairly urban area. The way he's shot it, the camera's looking up at her and she's coming down, but it's not smug or anything. It's not intimidating. Again, it's that reassuring feel. I don't know how he nails it like this, but the winner for my favourite Tedesco cover is Witchfinder Volume 4, City of the Dead. So he did a series of covers for Witchfinder, which was starring Sir Edward Grey, who is a Hellboy character. So it's a Hellboy spin-off series. And you think like spin-off series getting a character, a artist of that pedigree is pretty impressive. But I think he did just 2 of those minis. I can't remember. He did the covers definitely for City of the Dead, which was a vampire-based one. And that like the villain in it is Vladimir Gurescu. Like I can't even say his name. I need help in many ways. But he did a brand new cover for the collected edition. So it was Witchfinder Volume 4, City of the Dead. And it's got this kind of Dracula knockoff soldier character looming behind Sir Edward Grey as he's searching this place, searching it underground for these vampires. And it's just pitch perfect. It's brilliant. It's got the great horror movie vibe to it. It's fantastically ominous. And I love it. I'm trying to find it with no artwork, no kind of title on it. I just want that piece. And I can't find it anywhere, but I really, really want it. I love it. But his stuff is incredible, and you can Google his stuff, and there'll be a character he's done, and he'll have a whole new spin on them. It's very, very clever what he does. It's really clever, and I understand that there's a big name artist who's a huge fan of his and considers him to be the best.
Can you say his name one more time?
No. Seriously, you want to put me through that? Julio
Yeah.
Totino Tedesco. It's not Julio, you bellend. It's Julian. Oh, f***'s sake. Why can't I get anyone's names right?
I'm the Captain Obvious. Dave is. I'll give you some taste. Let me give you a little bit of taste. It's good. It's part
I
of.
say
It's what we do
nothing.
here.
A
All
mix
right.
is always good.
My fourth most obvious pick. I'm gonna go with John Buscema.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. I was
Yeah,
not expecting that.
I was maybe gonna save him for last. I was thinking about mentioning him first, just because I feel that there's plenty of pieces from John Buscema throughout every decade that he was making comics that his covers were iconic. Whether it's the Silver Surfer #4, which is my favorite, maybe my favorite comic book cover all time.
Silver Surfer and Thor.
Just love it. The
Yeah.
colors, the cosmic, the Marvel. It's just so Marvel.
Yeah.
Without there being Captain America and the Avengers, it's just so Marvel.
Yeah.
It's something about it. It's just perfect. I like that series with him drawing Silver Surfer, but man, that cover. The Avengers covers that he did throughout the first run and the second run in the 80s. The first Vision, Behold the Vision, man. Something that was ominous during the 60s, 70s. Like, that was a pretty scary cover. And then this guy becomes a main character on the team. You think of his Conan work. I didn't get to see, or wasn't alive during the time that he was working. Maybe I was a little bit, but
yeah, you would have been.
I was, but not in that heyday of the 60s, 70s where he was like the man. Along with Jack Kirby, John Buscema, Steve Ditko, like those were basically your big three of the time.
Yeah.
And then Neil Adams would come in and things like that, but consistently great. John Buscema deserves those flowers, man. He's got some iconic covers. I mean, it would be fun just our top 10 covers for some of these artists.
Yeah. Right? Some of them would be a real challenge. Oh, jeez. Let's bring it down.
Yeah. All right. You're last.
Okay. Tedesco is considered the #1 artist by this artist. And last time he was on my list, so I am kind of reusing one, but he didn't end up getting into the top 10 because, someone fucked me over. So this...
It really worked out in our favor.
Well, yeah.
He ended up coming on our show.
He did.
Right?
He was so surprised. That's the thing, is like he was listening to the show. Like, what the fuck? That in itself is weird. Then he was listening to it and he was so surprised at the conversation and the praise and everything for his work. How can you be surprised? Mike Del Mundo is one of the
greatest.
To me, he's probably, at that point in time, I listed him as my favorite cover artist. It's tricky because, like, it's almost like points in time of my life. Arthur Adams is very much my formative years, more so than even Jim Lee or anyone. But Mike Del Mundo is one of those people that just, I had to get hold of everything he's done. I have to seek everything out that he's done. And what I love about Mike Del Mundo as well is just how clever everything is without it seeming like pretentious. So he does these really smart plays.
So good.
So you may know him if you're trying to think of the name. You're not 100%. He did a fair number of the covers from Jason Aaron's run on Thor, which I think was the relaunched post-Secret Wars run on Thor, which was the first 16 issues of that. He did Weird Worlds, which is a bit more obscure, which was a Secret Wars tie-in, the Hickman Secret Wars event. Tom King's Vision, he did a load of covers for that. And again, each one is very much its own thing, and it's almost its own style. Marvel Zombies Destroy, he did a cover for that, which I love, and it's like, it's not even a book I want to read, but I love that cover of Howard the Duck and Dum Dum Dugan being chased by just this wave of zombies, and it's just brilliant. It's the detail he throws into it. He's recently done one for Spider-Man Shadow of the Green Goblin, which is a new #1, a new issue, and it's like revelations about the Green Goblin in it. It's by J.M. DeMatteis. I've known nothing about it, but it's got the back of Norman Osborn's head, because it's all about, obviously, the Green Goblin is in his mind, and he's split. He's got that wavy hair.
Yes.
He's opened the waves, and the Green Goblin is coming out of the back of his head. It's like, it's just so cool. Cool.
He's the best.
There's an Elektra #9 cover, so she's going to go up against Bullseye. Bullseye's not on the cover. How do they tell you she's going up against Bullseye? She's surrounded by ninjas. So there's like a whole very samey coloured bunch of ninjas, but really, really well done. Like, it's the right level of detail and the right level of kind of vague. And then there's another ring of ninjas and another ring of ninjas. So it's like in it. So the gap on the floor is a different colour. It just really, it looks like a bullseye. and she's in the middle of it. It's like, that's so smart, so simple, but so smart. But for a real win, if you want to just look through his covers all together, if you look up X-Men Legacy, every single cover is a fresh idea. Every single cover. So this was all about Charles Xavier's son, Legion, and all the different personas and each of those individual powers those personas had that lived in his head. And every cover is just a gem. Like the way that they break down what is in Legion's head using, like he breaks down what's in his head using his hair. And like the way they kind of name different bits of meat on a cow, on that graphic. It's like that. He's done him as almost like an assembly kit. There's like the Russian doll look. And it's just all these ideas. And there's a different idea every goddamn time. And there's not a single bad cover in that entire run. He hasn't dropped the ball once. He's just, yep. But the funny thing, when you interviewed him as well, you can see how chill he is. If I was having to do that, I'd be going, this is the most intimidating job of all time. He just seems like, yeah, you're just doing it. You're just rolling with it. Like, dude, how do you make it seem so easy?
He's so dope.
He's
so cool.
He is.
I love. Cool. He's so cool. He's a cool dude. He's very low key. Doesn't but he's got that hip hop element to him too. Like there's a graffiti art vibe to his art as well. A little bit.
There is. Where
it's like he leaves his stamp. Or as they say, like their tag, like there's something about it, like that's a Del Mundo.
Yeah.
I bought the coffee mugs that he put out for Fan Expo. I got his art in little places everywhere around the house, on the magnet on the fridge, little things. It's just so clever, like you said. It's like, man.
If you do want to see his interiors, so he's done a 2-issue Spawn series, which he talks about in the interview. So go check that out. He also did. So I only liked a couple of the miniseries for Secret Wars for that big event. The 2015 Secret Wars, but one of them was Weird World, and a large part of it was because of his art.
Perfect
it
for
was
that
great
book.
It was such a bizarre book, and I did want it to carry on, and it did for a bit, but I think he just did the covers, which is fine, but I don't think it lasted more than about 5-6 issues.
No, Del Mundo is just something else.
He's
cool, dude. Shout out to Mike, and check out our episode where we do talk to him about his prowess as a comic book cover artist and as a artist, period. Just a genius. Okay, my number 5. I'm gonna keep it hometown. I was gonna go real obvious, but I'm gonna do a hometown and pick like a personal pick, and that's Francis Manapul.
Oh, excellent.
Again, striking covers that similar to Del Mundo, when it's a Francis Manapul piece. The Batman Detective comic pieces that I bought those books strictly off the way the covers looked. Those looked so good. The
Flash.
That's just a guilty pleasure of mine. I'll say it flat out. I might just put it on the next guilty pleasure episode because just the covers of that stuff is just.
The thing is, you get the covers, you open the issue. He's done something incredibly smart on the inside on the double page spread. Like what?
Just brilliant. I think he's with Ghost Machine now.
He's with Ghost Machine. I don't know what he's doing for Ghost Machine. Yeah, Eric's absolutely right. Francis Manapul is going to be drawing the upcoming series from Ghost Machine, Rocket Fellas, written by Peter Tomasi. Ghost Machine is part of a brand new Image Comics imprint that's overseen by writer and creator Jeff Johns.
I gotta look that up, but I'm happy about that because again, another guy, when you put him on an assignment, he hits it out the park.
Yeah, he did a bunch of covers. I ran pretty much all the covers recently, and it was for his Robin variant covers for the Middleton series. Great use of negative space.
There's a cover from him. I think he did it for a Superman variant cover.
Is it
with him in the Flash?
Okay.
There was but there was one with him in the Flash in like a race, and it's almost like a painted. It's not super detailed, but it's them like in that motion, and you feel that sort of kinetic energy of the Flash and Superman running. I have a print of it. It was a variant cover, but I met him at Niagara Falls Comic Con, went to a panel of his, and as he was walking out, I was like, "Are you doing by chance any commissions?" He's like, "Where's your art book?" He just pulled it out and did a quick of the Flash, just like in motion. Very quick head sketch, not the most detailed, but I'm like, he did that in 2 seconds, and I
the irony.
Like the Flash. Yeah. Gotta send a shout out to the city. Both Mike Del Mundo, Francis Manapul are basically right around the corner from each other. But man, some great comic book cover art.
Yeah.
From those two guys. But great list. And there's a couple I left out. I'm excited to talk about maybe next time.
We'll do them next time, man. We'll do another one.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do another one. All right. Well, that's we'll wrap it up for this week. Dave, as always, a pleasure. Is it incoming for next week, or is that where we're at?
Shit beans. I think it. Yeah, it's incoming
All
next
right.
week. Oh, good
Nice.
shout.
I'm on top of things sometimes.
At least one of us is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you everybody on Twitch who hung out with us this afternoon or this evening, depending where you are in the world, or this morning if you're BC Scrubs. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Be sure to stay tuned to the Omniverse Comics.guide for everything related to comic book reading and the hobby. It's all there. Dave is the man behind the Omniverse Comics.guide. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week. Dave, bid you adieu.
I bid you adieu too.